Well, I was going to come out and do, you know, quite a bit of gluing up here today, but the wife just contacted me and said, if I pay, can't we go out for supper tonight? I said, yeah, I guess, you know, being retired people, though, we'll probably have to eat off the dollar menu of, you know, McDonald's. You know, we'll just sort of split a burger or something, you know. Anyway, you know, it kind of reminds me of, there's this old guy and this old woman that walked into McDonald's one time, and they ordered off the dollar menu, and the man sat down, and the woman sat down, and this guy was watching this whole thing, you know, and she separated the fries, one for her, one for him. She cut the hamburger in half. He got half the hamburger, she got half the hamburger, and then so the man started eating his fries and his hamburger. And this other guy sat over there, you know, and had watched this whole thing. He said, God, I feel so bad, you know. He said, look at these poor people. They just can't hardly, they're splitting everything. They can't afford to eat it. So he went over there and he said, ma'am, I'll tell you what, why don't you let me go ahead and buy you a hamburger and fries. I watched what was going on there. And he said, you just could give him the rest of your burger and fries. I'll just get you a whole new one. And she said, no, I can't do that. He said, it's not a problem, no sweat. She said, no, I can't do that. She says, my husband and I have been married for 55 years. We have shared everything 50-50 since day one, and I just can't, I can't take what you have to offer. It's not a problem the way it is. And he said, well, are you absolutely certain? He said, I'd like to go ahead and get you the burger for sure. He said, I just can't stand to see you sit there while your husband's eating and you're not eating. She says, well, you don't understand. It's his turn with the teeth. I've got our Select-O-Matic Mechanism up on end here, and I wanted to see what was on the bottom, because what I want to do after I clean this thing is I want to remove the clutch mechanism, which is back here. I want to remove that clutch mechanism that has the gear. That gear that's down at the bottom here that rotates this way. Actually, when it's standing upright, it rotates this way. It's a long gear, about, you know, bigger around than my thumb, and it causes the mechanism to ride back and forth along this toothed rail right here. That's what, you know, it rides the rail with the teeth on it. Okay, that the gear engages those teeth. I'm sure anybody that's looked at any kind of YouTube video knows what I'm talking about. We'll take a look at it once we get it back up, you know, sitting upright. But anyway, I wanted to show you something. This right here is called the AY100U memory unit. What's inside this box? And this is really cool. I think what's in, I'm not going to open it up, but I think what's inside of it is the toroid coils, or toroidal coils, whichever you want to say. And when the push button mechanism, or when the push button keyboard on top, when you press it and to select your song, and it sends the signal down to the AY100 selector unit, and that in turn sends it up here to the mechanism. It comes in here. I think it comes in this cable right here, and it goes in here, and whichever song you selected, it charges up, or puts a charge on that particular toroid coil. If you don't know what a toroid is, go online and just look up toroidal coils or toroid coil, and it'll show you what it is. A lot of people make their own. It's just a round thing with a bunch of wire wrapped around the outside all the way around, and depending on which one of these has the charge, this little baby right here senses it. It rides along on these pins. You got some in the back, some on the front. And let me give you a little close-up on those pins. They're just little old bumps on there, contact pins, that this mechanism here rides on. And there's a pin in the rear and the pin in the front. Now let me show you what those pins do. This is really slick. It took me a while to figure it out. See if I can get the right pin. There we go. There's one of the pins right there that rides on those bumps. Now I'm going to take this screwdriver right here and show you what happens each time it goes over the bump. See? Okay, look at there. See there? Okay. And what that is this little thing right here on the back. Okay, has a wire soldered to it. And as it scans down the bumps, let me back up here a little bit, it senses which one of the toroidal coils has the field on it, the electro field on it, and then it stops. And then it makes the record. The rest of it is taken over by the sets of relays and the motor, but it knows where to stop by scanning back and forth. There's one of these little bump things here, and there's one in the rear back here. So I want to get that all clean. Right here we do have a problem. I noticed in the process of eyeballing this thing. Check those wires out right there. See if I can get it in there. Those wires, there's only like 2 strands of wire holding out that wire onto that pin right there. That's really sucks. We're gonna have to take and strip this wire back a little bit and extract some of that solder and resolder that up. So before I do anything, you know, you always eyeball, you always check stuff out. This wire here they all look pretty good actually, except for that one right there. I don't know why that one's like it is. But anyway, the next step is to try to get the record rack off. Let me set this thing upright. Tell you what, before I set this thing upright, this is the motor that drives this record rack, this record mechanism, this mechanism back and forth along that toothed rail. And this little thing right here is like a universal joint. I don't know, I can't remember what it's called, but I know it's a rubber coupling between the top of the motor and up here, and this one's nice and soft. We're very lucky. That's the way they turn. It turns, the motor turns, and this turns. Fortunately, that thing's in very, very good shape. I'm really happy to see that. Needs a good cleaning on the outside. Seems that we got a lot of rust there, and a lot of rust at the bottom. I'm not sure why that's like that, but just wanted to make sure you all understood that thing there sometimes gets twisted, broke, snapped, cracked. Got to be replaced. It's not too much of a hassle to do, but you know, I'm just glad I don't have to do it, I don't think. And there's the rail with the teeth in it. Okay, this thing here rides back and forth, being driven by that clutch with the gear on that right there. Fortunately, I don't see any broken teeth. Usually, you know, there's sometimes broken teeth, and that's why we have to get our clutch out and take a look at it, because this may be in good shape, but the gear could have some stripped teeth on it. I don't know. Anyway, right now I think what we need to do is get this thing cleaned up a little bit. But I'd like to be able to remove this record rack first. But I think it's interesting. This is supposed to have a bolt. Let me see, where am I at? Yeah, it's supposed to have a bolt here, and it's supposed to have a bolt back here. But this one's missing. It looks like it's been missing since it was put together at the factory. And over here, we have the same situation. Let me get my flashlight here. We have a bolt back there, see it? But there's none right here in the front. And there's paint down in that hole. So none of that paint's ever been stripped off on those threads. So it looks like they just put one on one side and one on the other at the factory when it was made. That's always fun and games, isn't it? All right, let's see what we can do. I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and clean it first, and then we'll worry about taking off the record rack. Well, I've got this thing outside, and I took a little bit of brake cleaner and began to spray it, but I can see it's not going to do much good. It just won't work, so we're going to have to try something else. We're going to have to try letting this thing soak. I got myself some Top Job. If that doesn't work, I've got Simple Green. We'll try it on back here on the hardware first. Away from, I don't want to get near the memory unit, of course, but we'll try spraying some of this hardware up here and then see if it'll wash off. It should wash off real good. Now somebody's out there saying, oh, I can't believe he's doing that. Hey, believe me, I have good reason to do this. You know, I'm not just doing it, you know, just to see what will happen. I know that this will work, and I'll tell you the reason why after we get all done. Okay, she's sprayed. I'm going to let her soak for a while, and then we're going to go ahead and take, I've got water in this pump up sprayer. I'm just going to gently spray it off and everything, and hopefully that'll wash most of the grease away. We may have to do this twice, maybe even 3 times. We're going to get this baby clean. Now the reason I'm doing this is because way back when I was in the military, there was a calibration lab that used to repair the radios and radar equipment and things of that nature on aircraft in the unit. And the calibration lab was fully equipped, and one of the items they had was a combination washer and dryer, believe it or not, for radios and radar equipment and just whatever, you know, submarine hunting equipment, things of that nature. And a lot of times the radio would come in. They were big box. They were, you know, the boat anchor type radios. And they would try to calibrate it, and it wouldn't calibrate, it wouldn't work. They couldn't get it to work. Try to get it to align, and it wouldn't align. So they would go ahead and put it into this wash machine. It was a pretty good sized wash machine. It was a stainless steel thing with a door, looked like a small dishwasher. I used to work when I was in high school, working, you know, that was my part-time job as a dishwasher. Anyway, they would run this thing in there, and they had a soap solution, and they would take the top off the radio, exposing all the innards, take all the tubes out, of course, and then they would just shoot it to it. And they would spray it and clean it, and when they get all done, they would rinse it just like a dishwasher. And then they would take it and move it to the second half of the unit, which was a dryer. And it would dry 24 hours in there. I don't remember what the temperature was now. I don't think I ever asked them, but it was pretty warm. And for 24 hours, that thing would sit in there and dry out. It would dry out overnight and all the next day. And 99% of the time, once they did that and they got the thing clean and dried, that radio would line right up and repair, or that piece of equipment, whatever it may be. It was just amazing. So I have seen this with my own eyes many times. So a little water on electronics sometimes is very good for it, but you can't like leave it on there until it dries. You gotta get it on, get it off, and then the Arkansas sun tomorrow, I'll blow off what I can with the air, but the Arkansas sun tomorrow will dry this thing completely. I'm going to set it right out here and just let it bake. All right, now we'll give it a helping hand. We'll go ahead and spray a brush. I've never used this Top Job Basic stuff. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. Seems to be doing okay. It's breaking stuff up. Now we'll go ahead and just kind of break up some of the crap on here. A lot of this stuff is just not grease. It's just dirt, oil, cigarette, tar buildup. Unbelievable. Anyway, we'll go ahead and do this for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Then we'll give it the old rinse. Just gonna work it over good. Work it over. Get in there. You'll see. All right, I think that's enough for the first scrubbing. Now we'll just go ahead and rinse it off, nice and easy like. No hard, heavy sprays. Just kind of get a lot of that crap out of there. I'm pretty sure tomorrow I'm going to have to hit it with a second time. Look how clean that came out. Isn't that nice? Ooh. Anyway, I'll come back tomorrow after I've given it a second cleaning. We're going to try the simple green next time. Now I ask you, is that looking better? Yes, it is. Yep. Now I know that some of you are probably still sitting out there wondering, what is this guy thinking? Putting water on this thing. I can't believe he's done it. I just can't believe it. Well, let me put the whole thing in perspective for you. The Tormat and the amplifier just went through a flood and they were under a foot of water. So I guess a little bit of spray on this isn't going to hurt anything, because these guys are going to sink or swim together. Until next time, this is John.